morning, podcasters, and headed into the classroom. Three-part series coming up on blessings, and we'll get into that in the format. What a beautiful day here in the northwest corner of Connecticut, and I'm heading up the stairs, a little jog, turning here at the hallway. Oh, the door is open. Thank you, and then I will close it. And I'm in the classroom just for verification, by the way. Where George is, George by the door, is a different door where the students come in than where I come in from my office down the hall. And good morning, everyone. And what a beautiful day, as I mentioned, here in the northwest corner of Connecticut, where we do these podcasts, we record them. And the weather is delightful. And look at the staff. Everyone's in shorts and golf shirts and wow, looking kind of sharp. So let's introduce the team very quickly because we have a very big program, or as Ed Sullivan used to say, really big shoe. And and if you don't know who Ed Sullivan is, then you're young. Okay, so let's introduce the staff. Let's go a little backwards, all right? So Stan's over there by the coffee pot and the sharing table, and he's got his shorts on and a nice golf shirt, looking sharp there, buddy. We'll get over to you in a minute. George by the door, just celebrated 1 year anniversary with Alicia. They got married on June 5th. Which is Alicia's birthday. So congratulations to you. And everyone is piling in. And boy, George has papers and pens. And what's that other little thing you got there? Oh, a little a question from the audience. Okay, we're going to get to that, right, Marianne? All right. So everyone's piling in, people sitting in the back, and then there's people down in front. And as I always say, there's the nice couches over here by the big windows. You could sit there. Benjamin, and he is the IT guy, and he's got a pair of shorts and a nice golf shirt as well. Did you guys plan this? No. Okay. And he's our IT guy, does the Facebook posts and the screens here. So we thank him for that. Marianne, and she's the only one not in a golf shirt. She has a nice blouse. And she is our program director. She does the research with me. We kind of bounce around topics. We thought about this a few months ago, and so we finally brought it to fruition. So I thank you, Marianne, for that. So those of you new to the podcast, what do we mean by Stan, the coffee man? Well, we have refreshments here in the classroom for the people who are here. They can come up and take them whatever they want. So let's trot over to Stan, and good morning, my good fellow. You look fabulous, fabulous. And what do you have in the coffee pot today for the classmates? Tim Horton, who was a hockey player, unfortunately deceased, he developed his own coffee line. And we have his original blend, great, and his decaf, the best decaf on the market. And this is the coffee that Diane and I kind of nourished our new romance a couple of years ago. So glad you brought that in. And that was a blessing. And that's the topic of the, what? Oh, that's why you picked this coffee. Very good. And what do we have on the sharing table? We have yogurt. We have croissants, Stan's favorite. And then we have fruit cups. Oh, nice. Individual fruit cups for everyone, and napkins and plates and things like that. So feel free to come up. Stan will help you if you have special needs that you need. George will be happy to help you with that. George mentioned that we have a question from the audience. People are allowed to write a little question when they come in. So George is coming over, and thank you, George. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. All right, let's get to this, and then we're going to get to the topic. The question the person asked is, where does the word iPod come from? Well, that is a great question. And we looked this up. Here's the answer. Okay. The word podcast, all right, comes from a British journalist who was born in 1976, the year that my family came to the state of Connecticut. And he was a computer guy, computer guru. And in 2004, he was listening to a broadcast on his iPod. And so he dropped the I and the B and the R. He merged the two words together, and he came up with the word podcast. His name is Benjamin, like our IT guy, Benjamin Hanmersly, Hanmersly. And he is the gentleman who is responsible for what a lot of people do today. You get a lot of information and topics and things like that. So we thank the other Benjamin and for coming up with the word podcast. That was a great question. From time to time, we do that. So, boys and girls, those of you here in the audience, and even those of you in podcast land, Tommy.Bozzi at AOL.com. You can send a question about anything, and we'll get an answer to you. So that's a great segment. Thank you, George, for helping us with that. And Marianne. All right, what is our topic today? We've been mentioning it, hinting around with Stan over there. Blessings. And what we're going to do, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have a disclaimer. We're going to have a disclaimer. So everyone, our format is this. We're going to talk about blessings. And we're going to do a 3-part series. So this will be every 2 weeks. It'll take us up to July. And they're all on the site. So you can go from back if you miss one. So that's great. Thank you, Benjamin. And so we're going to do the story of Elijah. Okay, Elijah was a prophet in the Bible. And before everyone gets a little shashkad there, hang on a minute. And so we're going to do the story of Elijah. We're going to take you through the drought. And then Elijah the fugitive, and then Elijah with the widow. And I will make all of these biblical stories contemporary for you. Trust me. Now, here's the thing. We always say here, take what you want off the shelf, leave what you don't like. We know that not everyone in the classroom or listening are Christian or Jewish. I know Muslims believe in God, and that's okay. That door, as we always say, is open to the world. All right. So just listen to these stories, and there are going to be contemporary quotes and that kind of thing. But just listen to the stories of Elijah like you watch, Die Hard, right? I mean, Bruce Willis didn't blow up those buildings and jump out of a helicopter, right? It's a story. Sometimes there's a meaning in it, a moral in these stories, right? So listen to Elijah like that. Okay, if you're a Buddhist or Hinduist or you believe like the American Indians, the Mantu is one of their spiritual leaders, you can focus on that. All right, your spirit, your individual power source, you can focus on that. And if you're not in any one of those categories, that's okay. Just listen with an open mind, an open heart, and listen to it as not entertainment, but as if you were reading a good book, okay? And you were getting wisdom out of that and strength out of that. And that's what this all does, is how we get our wisdom and our strength to carry on, right? So let's get over to our first, not so much a quote, but the inspiration, what inspired myself, and I talked with Marianne about this, into doing this type of program. We did blessings many years ago when I was with WAPJ, but it was a much shorter form. But we're going to delve deeper into it with this 3-part series by going through what I said about Elijah. So what inspired me to do this? Well, all of you are on Facebook. Some of you aren't, some of you are. But a lot of times you see pretty pictures and you see things and people say, feeling blessed. Feeling blessed. What does that mean? George, Stan, Marianne, Ben, classmates, feeling blessed. What does that mean? Is it a privilege? Is it a luck charm? Oh, feeling luck like a horseshoe or rabbit's foot? Is it some kind of good thing that always happens, like abracadabra? Is it a reward? What does that mean? Feeling blessed. And do we feel blessed in times of adversity? When things are not good? I've got good news for all of you. That's when you're the most blessed. Because we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to refer to the Christian God a lot. I'm a Catholic Christian. But like I said again, you can focus on your power source. But when you're in the thicket, when you're in the not so good place, that's when you're being blessed the most, because it's drawing your heart and your mind to a greater power. In my case, when Lori was going through her lung cancer challenge, at 58 years old, I found myself drawn more to God than in any other time in my life. Okay. So sometimes we're brought down to then be brought up. And I've become actually a much better person, still working on it. And the lady in the front's laughing. A much better person through that adversity and been blessed in many ways. And we'll talk about that through that. So, what does feeling blessed mean to people, right? Is it, and we're going to have a definition at the end of the podcast, but we're going to decipher it as we go. We look at Psalms chapter 37, verse 4, and it says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." Delight yourself in the Lord. So one thing about blessings, however you believe in your faith, your power source, it begins from above. Delight in the Lord. Okay. Delight yourself. Okay. Not the other guy sitting next to you, but yourself. And he will give you the desires of your heart. Now, some people may say, well, I'm not. Look at God answers your need, not your greed. Okay. It's not winning the lottery and things like that. Finding your happiness and your blessings first starts, in my case, with God. In other people's cases, we've talked about that, other deities, all right? But it starts there, right? So if you delight yourself, give you the desires of your heart. And that doesn't mean that every little thing is going to come your way the way you want it. You may have the desires of your heart. He will give you the desires of the heart, but he will also guide you and mentor you, in my case, by the gift of the Holy Spirit, to mentor us so that we can see the blessings or feel the blessings or acknowledge the blessings that come our way. All right? So delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. St. Paul tells us this: God blesses those who earnestly seek his face. Now, here's the trouble that we, and myself included, that we all have. We seek the blessings. Oh, please, God. Oh, please, the house, the grandchildren, the children, my man. We seek the blessings. It doesn't work that way. What works in order to receive blessings, acknowledge and know what they are, is to earnestly, St. Paul says earnestly, not calmly, not, when you have time, earnestly seek his face. And what that does is it puts our emphasis on a higher power and it focuses us. And so we focus on him or the deity that we believe in. We focus on that before anything comes our way, before a desire, right? We focus on him, delight yourself in the Lord, right? We focus on that. Then we are in a position to receive those blessings or the things that we feel that we need in our life. And be grateful when the blessing is no. And we're going to touch on that too. So earnestly seek his face. So it starts, my day starts with prayer. My day starts with thanksgiving. And part of my prayer is, Lord, thank you for the blessings that'll come my way. And thank you for the blessings that I don't see and for the blessings that I don't get. All right. So that's where it starts. But we want to start with the gift. We want to start with the good feeling. We want something, but you can't receive gifts and good things from people until you do what? Establish that firm relationship with that friend, right? Like I've talked many times about my friend Catherine and Keith and Jim and Barbara and Stan and George and Alicia, goes on and on and on. But before the good came from those people or that the wisdom, we establish good, solid relationship. So as you establish, earnestly seek his face, good, solid relationships with God or the deity that you believe in, then you are in the conduit of receiving blessings. And so that's what St. Paul tells us, earnestly seek his face. Here's an unknown quote, an unknown person who did this quote. Some people don't want to be recognized. A grateful heart attracts blessings. Bing, bang, boom, boom. So a key element in blessings is gratitude. You've got to be grateful for where you are in the moment, in the time and space that you are. You can't say, if the blessing comes, then I'll be grateful. So when you see on Facebook feeling blessed, are these people feeling blessed before anything special happens? Or are they grateful ahead of time? Like, I'm grateful for the friend that I have. They don't have to buy me a toy, okay? It, I'm grateful for them ahead of time. And so that's how it is with deities and with Almighty God. Gratitude attracts blessing because you're grateful. And that gratefulness is like opening the door on top of your head that we're all under, and it's always closed because we're living in the world and we're looking at what the world thinks is blessings and what makes us happy. But when we are grateful first and that door opens, then guess what? Like rain, you acknowledge the things that come your way. Roy T. Bennett, who is a preacher, the Bible says, he says this: count your blessings, not your problems. So there's an attitude adjustment, right, George? Count your blessings, not your problems, and count your blessings, not someone else's. Ba-ba-boom, ba-ba-bang. These three people, you're all friends? They're all really smiling and looking at each other. Hey, you're special, ma'am. You're special, ma'am. You're special, sir. You're all together, right? You, what this person is blessed and is different. The problem is we say, what's our motto at the end of the show? Be yourself, everyone else is taken. Count your own blessings, not someone else's. Right? You're an individual. You have an individual life. You have an individual journey, an individual path that no one else can do but you. And you in the back there that's waving, and those of you over here by the couches, each of you have a special purpose on a special path. So you can't have the blessings that the other person have because they're unique to you. But we spend too much time, they say people with low vision like me have tunnel vision. That's good. You know why? We're not looking at everybody else. Okay, so Roy T. Bennett is right. Don't count your problems. Yes, we all have problems. But I would guarantee all of you in the classroom, at the end of the day, if you drew a line down the middle of the page and put your blessings in your problems, you have more blessings. Agreed? Everyone say, ha ha, ha ha. All right. So it's attitude for blessing. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3 says this: commit your plans to the Lord. All right? Commit your plan to the Lord. Going right back to our earlier quote, earnestly seek his face. So commit your plan. So if you have plans for a business, if you have plans for a marriage and relationship, say, offer them up. Here, you've created the universe. You know if my plans are good, and be happy if your plans don't come to fruition. So my next question is, do we feel, like I said earlier, do we feel that in adversity, or if our plans don't come to fruition, do we still say feeling blessed? Do we still say that on Facebook if something didn't go the way we thought? I can't tell you how many times, boys and girls, in my life, I'm glad it didn't go my way. All right? I wanted to play football in high school because I thought I'd meet girls. And, I actually in those days I could see great. I used to be able to catch a football if it was in 10 miles of my hands. All right. I wanted to play football, the whole thing. Well, God had a different plan, a different blessing. All right. So what happened was my eardrum broke when I was 14 years old. It popped. They had to put a tube in my ear. The doctor said, no contact sports for T-Boz. So what did I do? In the winter of that year, winter of 71, I tried out for the track team with my friend Joe DeSaro. I made the freshman team and the encouragement of Coach Carbone, who said to me, gee, you're pretty good around the track in gym class. Why don't you go out for the track team? There's a blessing. That's going to be a little bit of Elijah in about 2 minutes. So just hang on, right? All right. So I go out for the track team. Joe and I make the freshman team. In the spring of that year, spring of 1971, here's a guy that always struck out at baseball, wasn't really good at basketball at CYO and all of that, right? And so Coach Dave Millay calls me into his office. I told this story once before. I'll tell it quick again. And he says, Dom, he had a very deep voice. And yes, Coach Millay, let's sit down. So I sat down, and it was after school. And he said, I'm going to bring you and Joe up to the varsity squad. I'm like, what? The varsity? Varsity? I'm only 14. The varsity guys are 17 and 18. I'm only a freshman. There's junior, senior guys on the varsity. He said, that's right. I'm going to bring you up to the varsity squad because you're that good. Boom. There you go. The no to football became the yes to what was the best 4 years of my life. Cross country, I was the captain. I made all North Shore, all division champs. It goes on. I was able to go to a father and son dinner with my late father, whose 100th birthday just passed this June 7th, a couple of days ago. All right. And so, and that was a big thing. You know, we had these trophies, and he was happy to be with me at a father and son dinner with the black suit and tie they had in those days, 1971. So my no to football, the eardrum, thinking that was a negative, was a blessing because it turned me in another direction, which worked out much better for me. And so, do we feel blessed in adversity? The answer should be no. Let's get into our buddy Elijah, okay? Our Bruce Willis here, all right? So here's a quick story of Elijah. So Elijah comes onto the scene. There was a time of widespread idolatry in Jerusalem. So the Israelites have fallen away from the one true God. Whether you believe in the one true God or not, and this is the last time I'm going to do the disclaimer, just please listen to the story. It's pretty cool, just like Bruce Willis, all right? So anyway, Elijah comes onto the scene at a time of widespread ideology. And Elijah is a Tishmite, which is not a big kind of group of people. You know what I'm saying? They're just like a band of people hanging out in the desert. But he comes out of nowhere, out of obscurity. We don't hear anything about Elijah. He becomes actually one of the greatest, or the greatest prophet in the Old Testament. And the Jewish people, when they have their, I believe it's Passover, they leave a seat for Elijah. Okay. And we believe that Elijah was assumed into heaven bodily, just like Jesus, on a chariot of fire. So he was a pretty cool dude, right? So anyway, he comes onto the scene. You know, he's a Tishmite, and he comes out onto the scene from nowhere. We have no thing that he was studying Hebrew school. He made his bar mitzvah, none of that. He just all of a sudden, boom, he comes out of the blue. And what he does is he walks into a castle. And at that time, there was this very bad king, King Ahab, and his queen, Queen Jezebel, who was a Phoenician. Remember that for the next two podcasts. Don't worry about it now. Everyone's writing that down. That's fine. There are printouts, right, George? Okay, on the back table. All right, so Queen Jezebel is a Phoenician, and she's killing people and decapitating people, and she's not good. And they're busting up all the Israelites' temples that they had, little altars and things, and they're worshiping Baal. Okay, their idolatry, their god, whatever Baal created. And there are statues all over Jerusalem. So our buddy Elijah, Mr. Bruce Willis, goes, you know, diehard, goes walking into this castle, right? Now, he's not a diplomat. He's not an educated man. He's not a rabbi. He's not. He goes walking in. He goes right up to the king and says, hey, dude, you keep doing this. You keep knocking down these little altars, and you keep taking more and more of the Jewish people and turn them into worshiping of false gods. I'm going to bring a drought. Now, God, I'm going to bring a drought upon the land, an endless drought. And so the king and queen like, you're a nobody. We don't even know who you are. Okay? But he went in there with confidence, right? He went in there with speech that he was strong to say because he was blessed. We're going to get into that in a minute, by God. He said he's going to bring upon this drought. And so they just laughed it off, right? But now here's where we're going to turn the story around a little bit. How many times in your life have you been called, maybe you didn't realize, called or nudged or encouraged to do something that you didn't really think you were capable of, right? That you thought was unachievable, right? So here's Elijah. He has no formal education. Yet he has the gumption to walk in and tell these two very powerful people enough already. All right? So our blessing sometimes are missions that we get, or careers that we get, or maybe a coaching thing that we get, or a mentorship together. We say, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. But what did we say earlier? Commit your plans to the Lord, right? Or your higher power. So you commit those plans, and then all of a sudden things work in your favor. So Elijah was able to say this about the drought with a lot of confidence, even though he probably, coming out of the wilderness, didn't think, "Oh, me? I mean, I can't even read and write. I'm going to go talk to this crazy king. Anyway, I'm a sugar, right?" But here's the other part of this. In our lives, we've all been Elijah. We've all been King Ahab. What? Yeah. How many times in our lives have we predicted, quote unquote, a drought to a family member, friend, grandson, granddaughter, etc., niece or nephew? Maybe they're going down the wrong path with a friend. Maybe they want to buy a motorcycle. Maybe they're going in the wrong direction with a relationship, right? And so we have this mission, this blessing, to bring a blessing to someone, right? If you want a blessing, be a blessing to others, to encourage them or guide them away from something, their quote unquote, metaphorically speaking, their idolatry. All right? But they don't listen. And they wonder, where was God's blessing? But it was you bringing the news of a drought that was in their life. On the other hand, we've all been that crazy King Ahab. How many times have we, this is worse, have we had a close friend or family member come to us and try to guide us? Maybe that we need help with our addiction. Maybe we need help with some habits that are not good. Maybe we need help with people that we're going down the wrong road with. But like the king, we just shake our head and say no, because pride is in us rather than the Spirit. And we march down that trail like the king did, and we just go into our own drought. Because that drought went on for 3.5 years. There were people, animals, the king's horses and his flocks and everything. They were desperate. They were taking animals anywhere they could find a patch of grass. But the king wouldn't give up. So have we been? I know I have been. Maybe we didn't say we're sorry to someone. Maybe we didn't offer forgiveness, or we carry bitterness. Those are droughts. And so we wonder, why have we not been blessed? But we've been blessed by that brother-in-law, or sister-in-law, or a friend who came to us in earnest, right? Committing their plans to the Lord and tried to teach us something. So are we feeling blessed? Like it says on Facebook, blessing isn't always, oh, you got the house that you wanted. It's not the lottery. Okay, blessings come through all forms, music and people, but especially people, because blessings aren't only from God, they're from each other, being a blessing to each other. So the story of Elijah, and we'll go through the other two parts in the next podcast, is very, very relevant to ourselves because we've been both. But if we're in the Elijah part, we got to know that if we're called to do something, if we have that blessing, those gifts and talents we talk about, then just march forward, because God will help us. And if we're in the king's throne with the Jezebel, then let's be open and let's remove that pride so that the blessing, like the door I talked about, can enter into us, and be open to when someone is earnestly trying to help us, because that person has probably earnestly been seeking his face and has been gifted with the knowledge and the wisdom to help you, to guide you, and most importantly, to love you. And so the story of Elijah is very relevant to all of us. We look at Bryant McGill, and this is beautiful. He says, "You will be blessed the moment you realize you already are." Boom. The moment you already are. And George is nodding his head, right? With Alicia, right? Benjamin is nodding, and Marion standing, people in the back. Elijah already knew that he was blessed. That's why he had the confidence to go talk to the king. The king, however, didn't know that a blessing was coming his way, so he shut it down. But the moment you already know that you are, that feeling of not stuff, but that feeling of goodness, that feeling of being okay with who you are, that feeling of recognizing that there is good in your life in in small ways. Sometimes we're looking for the boom and we miss the whisper. The beauty, my friends, is in the whisper, right? The whisper. You know, Air Supply had a great song years ago. The best part of life is the thinner slice. So you're all blessed in different ways, but like we learned earlier, like Roy T. Bennett said, not looking at other people. We look down at Luke chapter 12, verse 48, and it says, "To whom much is given, much is expected." When God blesses us, then he also, for with a mission, that he also gives us the tools. So much is given, much is be expected. So that's self-explanatory. But if you have, and I don't mean a lot, and yes, some of you have beautiful homes and you have great businesses, you have a beautiful garden this year, that's all fine, right? Those are all blessings. Everything good comes from above, right? In his perfect plan. But too much is given, and I think everyone, just the fact that we live in the United States of America, regardless of who's in the White House, boys and girls, the best country in the world, right? The best country in the world. No one's leaving the United States on a raft to go someplace else. All right. So the fact that we live in this country where we can have podcasts like this, where we can gather, that right there is a blessing. That's why they wrote the song, God Bless America. So wake up every day and say, you know what? My family came from somewhere. I'm stepping on United States dirt right there. So the much is given, much is be expected. So because of that, in our own way, not like everybody else, not like the person next to you, we need to go out into the world to be that light, to share those blessings in any way that those opportunities present themselves. But here's the thing we need to do the most. Eric Hoffer says this: the hardest arithmetic to master is the one that enables us to count our blessings. Remember that song by Bing Crosby? When I'm worried and I can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of sheep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. Do you count? What did we just learn earlier? Not your problems. Do we count the fact that our grandchildren have two arms and two legs? And I have a grandson that's autistic. All right, it's a blessing because what that child is teaching my daughter, my son-in-law, myself is a huge lesson. All right, he loves life. He loves animals. He loves his puzzles. He's not yet talking yet. He's 4.5 years old, but he's a blessing to us. Blessings are not always the perfect package, boys and girls. I'm a blessing. I'm not a perfect package. I can't see, but I'm told all the time at Square Dance, boy, Boz, you inspire me. All right. And I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm dancing. So count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll have a, a better adjusted attitude. Willie Nelson kind of piggybacks on Hoffer, and he says, when I started counting there's the word, myself, we talked about that, my blessings, my whole life turned around. Because when you count your blessings, you know what you do? You shift your energy source. All right? You shift your energy source and you're open to opportunities, and you change your direction, because when you acknowledge the good things you have in your life, now you have positive energy working towards a goal. You change, you have a huge attitude adjustment, right? Looking at the problem, the attitude's not good, right? So you're looking at the ground, right? But when you acknowledge, and like Willie Nelson says, he was 93 years old, on the road again, right? So what he's doing there is he's counting, but it turned his whole life around, just like Elijah. Elijah became a great, great prophet. Why? Because at the time he came out of the woods, he said, you know what? The Lord gave me this mission. The Lord gave me the ability to speak. I'm going in and I'm telling the kooky king to knock it off. All right? He counted his blessings. And so that was the arithmetic he needed to do. It turned Willie Nelson's life around. And this is what they teach you a lot of times in AA and these different self-help groups, is in order to move forward, you got to first have an attitude adjustment. We did a whole program you could research on attitude. So that's what, looking at your blessings, it changes your vision, your scope. You look better. Look at Helen Keller. She couldn't see and she couldn't hear. And look at the things she accomplished. She got a college degree, I think a master's. She started the ACLU. Many, many things she did. And she thought her life was blessed and she couldn't see or hear. So those are the people you got to hitch your wagon to. We're coming to the end. Melody Beattie, and she lived from 1948 to 2025. She died young from the California wildfires, and unfortunately, she was excavated from her house, but then she died later of a heart attack. But she says this: gratitude turns what we have into enough. Enough. What we have, right? Gratitude goes right back to what we were saying earlier, right? About gratitude. And who do we give our gratitude? God, right? Or whoever you find your faith in. All right? That gratitude that we have enough. It's okay to say, I'd like to graduate college. I'd like to become a doctor or a dentist, or I'd like to be a good politician, or I'd like to have a little corner grocery store so people can get things when they need them. That's okay. That's okay. God wants you to be fruitful and to be productive and not just sit and be lethargic. Okay, that's what He wants for you. But sometimes along the way, as you're hoping for other blessings, look around at what you have. You know, look around at what you have. And that will help you move forward. And an appreciative heart attracts blessings. All right? Rejoice yourself, delight yourself in the Lord. What are they saying in that psalm? Be thankful first. Right? It puts you in the zone, right? Right? We talk about basketball in the zone. Let's take a look at our closing two statements where we get to the takeaway and elements of blessing. So here, when people say they're feeling blessed, here's the answer to that. What are some of the elements? Trust. We need to trust in God, whoever you believe in. We need to say, here, that's what I do. Here, you take this because it's too much for me. I'm only a human. All right, here, it's all yours. And then you take that mess that I made and decipher it up and create the blessings that I need to move forward. All right, the next element is faith, right? Believing in that you're in good hands, right? Not with Allstate, but you're in good hands, that you've offered it up. Now you have faith that the outcome will be what is right for you, right? Like we said earlier, God answers need, not greed, okay? Number 3, be aware. Be aware of things, as we talked about the king. If he was aware then he would have said, you know, Elijah, you're right. I'm going to do what you said to suggest. Instead, he wasn't aware, and thousands of people, animals, and just died left and right. You're going to say, well, what happened to Elijah? That's next podcast, Elijah the Fugitive. Where do you see what happens there? All right. But be aware, right? When that person, that loved one comes to you with advice or something and wants to help you, if you've been making the same mistakes over and over again, and someone offers their time or resources to help you, be aware of that. That's a blessing. That's feeling blessed. All right. And our last element is of blessings is to know, not what we figured, right? Like Elijah. He probably, when he was a kid walking around in the jungle there, did not figure that he was going to become the greatest prophet of the Old Testament. So each and every one of you, blessed, it may not be what you figured. I didn't think I'd be doing podcasts 10 years ago, right? I was aware. That's why when I heard Diana say to me, Tommy, can I help you? Some of you know the story. I am a believer in God. That led to, I'll stay with you. And that led to a conversation. And that led to the blessing that I couldn't even have figured. Okay. So being aware, trusting, because I was praying to God saying, gee, I don't want to live my life alone. I would like to be married again. I offered it up and I had faith. And so I was aware. So when she came into my life, like Elijah went into the king's life, my heart and my mind and my spirit and my soul was open. Okay. I didn't ask for a specific type of blessing. I just offered it up to him. And so, not what you figured. I didn't figure when I was going to that dance that I was going to meet someone. And Diana was not going to go to the dance because two of her girlfriends were not going. It was a big dance. She said, but what moved her? The spirit nudged her. Diana, go to the dance. Diana, go to the dance. You're going to meet a guy who doesn't see well, but he's going to end up becoming your husband, right? Okay? So not what we figure, being aware. God gives you the tools when he gives you the mission, right? Not looking at what everyone else has or their blessings. And so that nudging of her on her part, me being open in the front of the Farmington Senior Center, love, the seed of love was planted. And so that is a blessing in my own life. And I'm sure all of you here have stories that when you hang around for the cake and all of that, please offer these stories. Maybe I'll use one in the next podcast. All right, so here's what blessings are. This is T-Bob's definition. A blessing is knowing that the divine power is at work with you, in you, through you. Yeah, you, and you, and you, and George, and Stan, and Marianne, Ben, all right? The people listening. With you, in you. That spirit of goodness is in you. So what is a blessing? If you say feeling blessed, it's feeling that divine power, not just giving you something, but working through you, in you, and with you to create what? A better world. That's simple. Let's get to our takeaway. And then we have a beautiful song at the end. Move the coffee table, everyone. Move the coffee table, the lamp. Don't worry about it. You can put it back. We're done. Crank it up, hit the loud button, and jump around in the living room after you hear this song. All right. And here's our takeaway. It's from St. Peter, our good friend St. Peter, and it's from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 2. And it says this: you have tasted the Lord's goodness. Boom. You have tasted the Lord's goodness. You all, when you look back over your life, and if you look at what may be coming up, maybe it's June, so a high school graduate, a college graduate, grandson or son or daughter, whatever, right? Or even Nana might be graduating, right? Seniors go back to college. So those of you who are young, there's a couple of young people, look like 20-year-old people in the back there. Maybe you're going to see your mom or your dad, finally get their college degree, okay? So That's the goodness of the Lord. And I think St. Peter used a great word, taste, right? Because taste is very strong. In the first century, right, food was kind of bland, right? So tasting something was important. So take the time this week before the next podcast, right? And taste the goodness of the Lord. Commit your plan, delight yourself, and feel the desires of your heart. Too much is given to you, then go out and give more. Be a blessing to others. All right. Count your blessings instead of sheep. Do like Willie Nelson and turn your life around by acknowledging the goodness that you have, and be thankful for the blessings that you have. Because if you had the blessings of the lady next to you, your life would be not good. It would be, as they used to say, in the Jewish people say, mushugana. Okay. The Italians say shashgad. So be thankful that you have your individual blessing. God loves you so much. He created you so uniquely that the plan for you and your blessings are just for you. This gift, God says, I give to you. What's your name? George? George, here, this gift is for you. Okay? Oh, another George. Your name, man? Nancy? Nancy, this gift is for you because it's special to you. This blessing, this gift is for you. All right? So, take all that with you. I thank you all for joining us again on Words of Wisdom. The staff, Benjamin, super, Marianne, I got everybody's names right. Thank you. George by the door, thanks for helping out with the question and helping with the pens and pencils. And he has all the takeaway and all these quotes in a nice format on the back table. Stan, how could we get through this without your coffee and the treats? And as I say at the end of every podcast, be yourself, because everyone else is taken. And I'll change it a little bit for today. Enjoy your blessings, because everyone else's blessings are theirs. And with that, Benjamin, spin the vinyl.
Kissed by the sun each morning, putting my feet on a hardwood floor. I get to hear my children laughing down the hall through the bedroom door. Sometimes I sit on my front porch swing, just soaking up the day. I think to myself, this world is a beautiful place. I have been blessed, and I feel like I found my way. I thank God for all I've been given. At the end of every day, I have been blessed with so much more than I deserve. To be here with love to love me, to love them so much it hurts. I have been blessed. Across a crowded room, I know you know what I'm thinking. By the way I look at you, and when we're lying in the quiet, and no words have to be said, I think to myself, this love is a beautiful gift. I have been blessed, and I feel like I found my way. I thank God for all I've been given. At the end of every day, I have been blessed with so much more than I deserve. To be here with those who love me, to love them so much it hurts.